Sam says hello and welcome back. Good day, everybody. Just wanted to point out that I've been poked 4 different times in the last few weeks for school. 3 rabies vaccines and a measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine. Needed a booster on that. It's my last one. Yay.
Hello, welcome back. Again, my name is Faith and we are in vet school. Yay. Sorry. Can you sit? Anyways, so I've had an interesting couple of weeks. We had our first quiz last Friday and I'm being attacked. Sorry about that. So last week after I spoke with you, I did get to handle an owl for the wildlife medical clinic, which was really cool. He ended up having to be euthanized because he was not going to be able to be rehabilitated well enough to be released back into the wild, sadly. And since then, I've gotten to feed baby squirrels and baby blue jays and what else? We helped give meds to a crow. My team currently has a turtle. I don't know, it's pretty cool. I'm very excited to be a part of the Wildlife Medical Clinic and be able to kind of act as a doctor and do my exam on these animals and kind of hone in on what I should be working on.
Okay, so I told you yesterday that I got my last shot, and this is the first time I got bruised from it, and it doesn't feel very good. I'm sad.
Now the other thing I've been doing is lots of studying. We had our first quiz on Friday, and it went better than I thought it was going to, but you really have to know all your stuff for one little tiny quiz that has like 20 questions on it. We still have to know all of the material from all of the classes that we're taking. So kind of gives you a stepping stone to see where you're at in your study process to prepare for the midterm or the final. We have a midterm next Friday, so that's coming so fast. And like I said, I'm spending a lot of my free time studying, which I do highly recommend if you are not used to that kind of thing.
Jasmine and Moose, who's playing with said Jasmine, and Sam. Moose, what are you doing? And Daisy's here somewhere. There's Daisy! And we're studying real hard.
Another thing that we have been doing is dissecting our dogs, which I'm not allowed to take pictures of, but I don't necessarily want to. This gives us an idea of where everything is structurally on our animals. So we have teams of 8, and we kind of broke ourselves up. We get 2 dogs, a boy and a girl, so we can obviously see some of the structural differences there. And then we get a horse or a cow, which our team has a horse. And then we have a leg from the team across from us. They got a cow instead. So we get to study the anatomy of all 3 different types of animals and kind of see what the differences and similarities are. And last 2 weeks, we did muscular anatomy, knowing origins and insertions and actions of all of these muscles that they are requiring us to know. And this week, we have started on vein paths, artery paths, and nerves. So all of that pertains to the forelimb, like the thoracic forelimb, which is your arm. Yay. And then I assume we'll be moving to the hind limb and stuff at another point. Now, one of the things that I would like to talk about today is studying, because I've been spending all my time doing it. You do want to take breaks in your studying. You need to find a study habit that works well for you, for a way to remember all of this material, because one of the things that's different about vet school that you don't necessarily find in undergrad, at least not for me, is that everything that you learn from the very beginning, you are building on that, and you have to remember all of it. So say in undergrad for math, you have your basic math and you move into things like algebra and calculus and then onward towards much bigger, crazier things, right? Well, you just have to kind of know the basics in that essence. Whereas here, you have to know the muscles of the body, because later in clinical practice, you're going to have to know if a dog comes in with a lameness on the right front leg, you kind of have to know, okay, well, what muscles are being acted on here? What kind of nerves run through here? Do we have full-on lameness where they're not weight-bearing, or are they still kind of walking on it? Is it a structural thing that has to do with the bones? There's a lot of things that kind of go into it. Now, that was very generalized in what I said, but I hope you get the picture. Now, one of my big study habits that does help me a lot, especially with anatomy, is I like to make note cards. So I have some here that have like differences between horses, and then I have dog ones here. I also have arteries and veins. I've got all sorts of different piles. Some of them I'll draw pictures on, kind of like you'll see in your textbooks, where they have all the lines coming off and you can kind of draw your own lines and label them yourself as you go around the diagram. And then I'll make note cards for each of the things we have to label and say where they originate and insert and what their action is, and go deeper in that way, because seeing it multiple times in different ways, kind of the repetitiveness kind of helps you memorize things better. So the other thing that I highly recommend doing is, with our new fandangled technology nowadays, we have everyone practically in our classroom uses the OneNote kind of Microsoft application, and you can put everything into it. It's really cool. Like, you can download slideshows into it or PDF documents and take notes right onto that. The only thing I don't like about it is that I'm typing all my notes, and I can type something without really understanding what I'm typing. So what I then do is, a lot of the time I will go and handwrite my notes. A lot of my teachers provide study guides or lesson objectives where they have questions that they expect you to be able to answer, or terms they expect you to define, which will be helpful for your midterm or your final or the quizzes that you will be studying for. And so I go through and I answer all of those questions as best I can. If I have questions, obviously I'm asking my teachers, and that's just kind of my best way of studying. Obviously, you may have another way of studying. If you like to study in groups, that's something that a lot of vet students will tell you is helpful. I haven't reached the point where I know the material as well as I would like to study in a group, because I don't want to be sitting there kind of talking about nothing. Now, I have studied in groups and it is helpful and beneficial. So you just kind of have to find your niche and see where you best fit in that kind of circumstance, whether you like to study in groups or not, and how big of a group, and if you want to be a leader in that group or just kind of be there to see what's going on. The other big part of studying that I've also found helpful is video. So our teacher, Jasmine says hi, our anatomy teacher, one of them, he posts lectures, kind of an overview of some of the stuff that's in our books that he doesn't necessarily want to take the time to go over in class, that we can also watch, and it kind of reiterates everything that we're learning. Also, our lab instructor has videos that he's posted of other dissections to kind of help us see where we should be in our dissection, and maybe some differences between species there, and just kind of techniques that'll help us later. Now, the other thing about studying is that you do need to take time off. You don't want to be continuously in class, continuously studying, which I kind of do, but I do make time for myself. I make time to make sure I have the TV on and I'm talking to someone on the phone, or I'm just playing with the dogs, or we go on Starbucks trips, which is always fun. Yay, pumpkin spice latte. And so having that time away will kind of help your brain relax for a little bit, and then you don't have to be so, oh my gosh, let me study. So just relax. You're going to get it all done. It's all going to happen the way it's supposed to happen. And the very last thing is hands-on with a live animal is also very important. We, as I've talked in the past, go in on Fridays and we palpate horses. So they're live horses, and we're like, all right, so this is where the spine of the scapula is. What muscles are going to attach here? in the infraspinous fossa or the supraspinous fossa, and you just kind of see, okay, where do those muscles go from there? And it's great to see the full anatomy like coming full circle. You're looking at it on a cadaver and you're seeing, oh, this is what this muscle or this tendon actually looks like, and relating that to where that is on an actual horse and how this can be affected in clinical practice. So we've been going over the forelimb, which is this lovely thing here. And we get to know everything from the scapula, which is here, as she lays down, all the way into her feetsies. So I like to practice on my dogs. They love it.
Now for the day, we bid you adieu, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let us know, and we'll catch you next time.